everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Patrick Smith. I'm a regional sales manager here at Foundation. And today we are going to unlock the power of financial reporting in Foundation. So I hope everybody is able to take some info home with them and get a little bit out of this one. So the purpose of this is really just to provide familiarity with Foundation, just to give everybody a little insight on who we are, what we do, some of the reporting capabilities. So again, this will give you kind of a look and feel for what our software is all about, and we'll get into some of the guts of the reporting. I've got my screen shared here, so everybody should be able to see my desktop. I'm going to go ahead and pull the Foundation system up here in a second. This will be listen-only mode is what we call it. So you'll be able to hear me. I'm not going to be able to hear you, but there is a little chat section in the GoToWebinar control panel. So if any of you have questions, if there's any particular reports that you have in mind that you're wanting to take a peek at, just throw that into the chat, and we'll try to get to as many of those as we can. So, but again, overall, this will just kind of be a general look and feel of Foundation, just so you all can see some of the reporting capabilities. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the menu. And for those that are not familiar with Foundation, we are a construction-based accounting program. That is our niche. That is what we're designed for. We don't deviate from the industry. All we do is construction. So the companies that end up coming our way to use our software are those that use QuickBooks, that need something a little bit more industry specific, or those that are coming off of old legacy programs. So you all may be familiar with our name. You may have seen some information floating around on, again, kind of who we are and what we do, but this will get into sort of the guts of the program to get into these reports. So the financial side of things, we're going to take a couple approaches here. We'll go through some of the job cost side of things just to see some of the, we'll call it the job financial reporting. We'll get into the actual ledger financial reporting as well. I'm going to take everybody through custom reporting and how you can build reports in our program. So we'll kind of take a couple approaches, again, with the job side of things and then the general financials. So to give everybody just a general idea of the menu and how to move around the program, and it looks like there are some Foundation users out there. The navigation overview that I'm going to go through, of course, you folks are already familiar with, and a lot of the reports that we're going to go through, you may have familiarity with as well. So again, we'll do our best to cover our bases here. But you can see the menu that you'd see when you log into Foundation. We've got these base modules up top, which are the core accounting modules. We've got these additional modules here in this middle section that users can pick and choose depending on the type of work and the functionality that they're looking for. And then we've got some operation side of things as well, project management, document imaging. Where I'm going to start is with what we call our executive dashboard. So the dashboard, the thought behind this is we can see an overall view of the company, and then we can drill down into greater and greater detail. So let's just say that somebody logs into this. If you have admin rights, you can see all the jobs for your company. If you're limited on rights, like a project manager could only see the jobs that he or she are managing. So long and short of it is left side would show totals. Right side is where you can see each individual job that account for those totals. So in my example, you can see I'm running about 9 million in active jobs or contracts. And it shows that we've billed about 6 million against those contracts. We're also able to see an estimated versus actual cost, as well as an estimated versus actual gross profit. Now, again, those could be company-wide numbers. Those could be by project manager, by job type, by job location. So you can apply filters if need be. The right side is where we're seeing each of those individual jobs. And this is all about the drill down. If I click this button up in the top right that says View Report, that drills down to the WIP schedule, showing percentage of completion, overbillings, underbillings. This is a pretty simple version of our WIP report. There's a couple other WIP options within the general accounting program. This is the one that's just built into our dashboard. But in any event, whether it's a simple WIP or a more complex WIP, we're always calculating percentage of completion and the over and under billing automated by way of those day-to-day accounting entries. Now from here, any job that you might look into further, click that job number, and it drills down into a summary of that particular job. Contract amount, what's been billed against it, estimated cost, actual cost, gross margin, change orders, percentage of completion, open commitments. So you all get the idea here. These are numbers for that one job that we clicked into. Then from here, you can continue to drill down. Anything that's blue means you can keep digging further. So in this example, I've got an estimated cost $449 for this job, an actual cost $197. If I click the link that says job cost detail, you can see the breakdown of different cost codes that account for that estimated versus actual. And these are only my examples. For those that use cost codes, they are user defined, they're unlimited, they're alphanumeric. So only examples that I use here. You'll see if I click any of these cost codes, here's the breakdown within that code. Labor costs that fed in from payroll. Material and subcontract costs that came in from accounts payable. You can see I've got it owned equipment, rented equipment. Burden, we allocate down to the penny, taking into account workers' comp rates, unemployment rates. We can help build those into the program. Any union contractors, we can get the union fringes in, prevailing wage fringe as well. So those burdens calculate and they'll follow the labor to the job and the cost code. For those that like to lump labor and burden together, it's no problem. You can have one line that says labor and burden. Others like to keep it separate like I have here. And with cost codes in mind, for those that prefer not to use cost codes, it's no problem. You could just track your total labor for that job, total material for that job, versus these, what we call cost classes, being divided up code by code. So a lot of companies use cost codes, others just use cost classes without that code level. Completely up to the user, depends on how much detail you want to track. Regardless of that, you can always drill into the transaction level. So if I click into this labor, if I want to see this 4,200 in labor broken down, click labor, that shows every transaction that fed in from payroll that accounts for that 4,200 labor within that code, within that job that we clicked into initially. So very doable to drill down into that granular detail, whether it's something like labor, like we're seeing here, or if I go back a screen and go into material, that would show any material-related transactions, in this case, a couple AP invoices. If I were to click either transaction number, shows us the detail of that payable. And I mentioned document imaging a bit earlier. For those that use our document imaging module, you can scan physical invoices or just save them off of emails, drag them and drop them into our system. We like PDF formats. And once that image is brought in by way of drag and drop, upon entry of that invoice, users would have the ability to click this little paperclip icon off their job reports and drill into a copy of that material invoice or subcontract invoice or whatever type of transaction it is. And those drill downs are all over the place in our program, off of job reports, financial statements, agings, any report with that transaction, user would be able to drill into that respective image. Okay, so gives everybody a little feel for what we can do reporting-wise, the whole breakdown of cost codes and cost classes. With that in mind, not limited to the dashboard job reporting. If I jump back to the main menu and we go into reports under job costing, we've got a number of reports that are preloaded here. I mentioned earlier the WIP. So the WIP report that's built into the dashboard, like I said, it's pretty simple, pretty basic. If you were to run a traditional WIP, you can see a little bit more detail in here, the different columns and whatnot. And one thing that's pretty neat about our standard WIP report, we will total up the over and under billings, and you'll see on the next page of this report, it'll show the journal entry. And rather than doing that journal entry manually, you can just post directly from here. That'll kick that entry over to the financial side of things, update the balance sheet and the P&L without having to do a manual journal entry. So just a neat little bell and whistle here just to automate that WIP entry onto the financials. Okay, so in addition to that, we have a number of reports that are preloaded in the program we call these activity reports. And some users use all of these, other users just use a handful of what we have here. If there's reports that you'd never use, we can just get them out of this dropdown. You can also save favorites. If there's a particular report that you gravitate to, save it as a favorite. You can shortcut to that particular report. So just a couple different ways to get to the same place, either through the shortcuts or through the standard menu. And I will pick off a few of these at random just to show some options and examples. Okay, if we pick this report, status of contracts, again, just very random. Now, when we run a report, we can tell the system how we want to sort and filter. So we might want to run that report by job number. Let's throw in a little job range here. And here's that report with each job number, job description. Again, this report shows contract value, cost estimate, what's been billed, cost to date, cost to complete. So pretty basic, pretty simple report here. If I want to run that report by project manager, select project manager as the sorting option. Let's run that report for Dan's jobs. Now it's going to filter it. Here's all the jobs that Dan's managing. Or if you were to run, let's say by project class, or you might call this a job type. So I've got very generic examples in here. You could set these up however you'd like. Okay, we want to run that report for all of the commercial jobs. Again, same concept. It's going to show you all the jobs that match that criteria. So when a job is set up in our program, attach the PM, attach the project class, or again, the job type, the location of the job, and then you'd be able to run reports, sort and filter based on those various criteria. Okay, so we'll grab a couple of these other reports in here. For those that are quantity heavy, the civil contractors of the world, anybody that's looking to track production, we do have a really handy production report in here. This report would show, okay, here's each one of those cost codes, unit of measure. We estimated 368 hours to complete excavation. So far, we've completed 200 hours. We've estimated 18.4 cubic yards of excavation. So far, we've completed 13.2. Then it would show you, here's your estimated hourly production, taking that quantity over the hours on the estimated. Here's your actual hourly production, taking that 13.2 over those 200 hours. So those, again, that are quantity heavy, that are looking to track hourly production reports, these are things that we can handle by way of the hours that are coming in from payroll and by way of those quantities that are plugged into the job itself. So hourly production reports we handle well. Another one that's handy for those production heavy companies are the unit cost reports. So again, same concept here as excavation, cubic yards, estimated 18.4. We think it's going to cost us $23,000. Our estimated unit cost, $1.29 per cubic yard of excavation. Actuals, quantity, cost. You can see our actual unit cost is $1.03. Then it's going to project whether you're going to stay under budget or go over budget based on that estimated unit cost versus that actual unit cost. Now, just like anything, garbage in, garbage out, you got to get that information in, particularly from the field. We can help with that as well. We've got our mobile app that can pick up the hours and the quantities, and those feed right into the software. For those that are paper timesheets and whatnot, yeah, just have to get these employees to tell you what job, what cost code, how many hours, what the quantity is. So as long as that data is captured, then these reports would take care of themselves. All right, so for anybody that ends up using our program that's on this call, during implementation, we just take you through these reports, find the ones you like, get rid of the ones you're never going to use. Now, hypothetical here, let's just say that a user needs a particular report. Maybe we don't have that built into our system by default, but the user doesn't want to deviate from that report that they've been using for years. Maybe that's Excel-based, or maybe that's in their existing accounting system. So what we do there is take you into what we call the Data Genie. So the Genies, these are neat tools that are unique to our software, to Foundation. Built-in report writer, we call that the Data Genie. A lot of import and export capabilities, custom forms, custom time card entry. So we'll get into this Data Genie, and this will give everybody a feel for potentially building and designing reports, again, if there's one that you are used to that you don't want to get away from. So the way this works is we call these capsules. Whatever is added from left to right by way of either dragging and dropping or double clicking, each one of these capsules that we've added creates a column on the report that we're designing. So in this example, job number, job description. Okay, right next to that job description field, we want to add a column to show our estimated cost. So we come into this first green capsule that says costs, and we're going to pick original estimated. Right next to that, maybe you want to show your actual to-date cost. So we'll do the same thing. We'll go to the cost capsule, we'll pick to-date, we'll add that over. Now this is where you can get into some pretty good level of detail, hours and units, cost commitments, quantities. So all these capsules are available, as is what we call the calculation capsule. So if you were to add this, let's say we want to name this variance. So you name it whatever you want to name it, you open up that calculation capsule, it's a built-in calculator. You can then define your own equation. In this case, we'll go estimated less actual. That'll do the math for us. That'll calculate that variance or that difference. Now you can get pretty involved here, greater than, less than, if then statements. So you can do a lot with this thing, but still pretty easy to use. We're not a Crystal Report dependent software. You don't need any kind of bolt-on. You know, if you want to run queries behind the scenes and pull data into a Power BI or a Crystal Reports, could you? Sure. Do you have to? In a lot of cases, not really. So as we're adding those capsules, like I mentioned before, that's building out the report column by column. Now, when you get to this screen, you can resize, you can make adjustments here, you can change terminology. So let's say instead of estimated costs, you want to call that budgeted costs. You can name the report, whatever you want to name it. We'll just call this new report. Now, once you get the look and feel ironed out, let me extend these fields a little bit further. Once it looks good, you click next again. This allows you to customize drill downs. So I can tell the system, it just walks me through this. When the blank column is clicked in this report, open the following. So we'll go, when the cost to date is clicked on this report, for any job that shows up in the report, we're going to open up and drill down to a detail, what we call the job history detail report. Now, that could go from this report that we're designing into a predefined report in Foundation, or you could drill down from this report to a report that you previously created through the Data Genie. That report might drill down to a report you made before that even. So you can create your own little chain of reports from A to B to C as you want to drill down further and further, very similar to what we saw in the executive dashboard. All right, I'm going to zip through a couple of these last screens here. Security, you can give access to whoever is allowed to view this report. This last screen here, bear with me, I'm just going to clean this up a little bit here. All right, so as soon as I click finish, that new report is going to be saved. We go back into job cost reports, back into the activity reports, pull up the drop down. These are all alphabetized. We'll go new report. I'm going to toss a job range in. And this is the report that we just built. Again, pretty simple. Job number, job description, budgeted cost, actual cost. Here's that variance that we use the calculator to come up with. So the point is, if you need something that we don't have by default, pretty easy to pick up on, or if we have a report that's very close to what you need, pop back into that Genie. Instead of creating a new report, go to open up whatever report you want to modify, like that status of contracts report that we looked at. And now you can modify the report, add columns, remove columns, meaning nothing is set in stone. If you need to make a couple tweaks to these reports, no problem. And then you can do a save as. It would hang on to that original, then it would show the new report with those modifications. Again, if you just need to make a couple changes here or there. Okay, so that's a little crash course on the job cost reporting, the dashboards, the drill downs. I'm going to jump into the financial side, and before I get to that, let me just pop over, see if we have any questions that we can knock out. Okay. All right. There's a question, can we show the weekly payroll report? Let me see. I'm wondering if that's in the list here. Yeah, okay, yep, this one here. Let's see what we got. Yeah, so this one will show the job up top. Here's each cost code, your labor cost, your burden, your labor and burden, and then we've got the hours column as well. So yeah, if this is what you need, great. If not, pop into that Genie, remove the hours column, add an estimated hours, add a calculation with that calculator capsule. So yeah, good example of what you could poke around into and modify if need be. All right, with that in mind, and Samantha, that is your question. If you jump into reports under payroll, these reports, if you're looking for like detail reports for employees and whatnot, like this time card history report, maybe this is something that you're getting at. You can come in here and run a report, and it would show you all of the activity. Here's Craig Allen and all the jobs that Craig worked. I just ran this for 1 month. So you can see all this detail on the payroll side of things. So Samantha, if you're looking for something like this, then yeah, you could dive right into it, or you could take that report that we looked at, that weekly payroll report, and then set up a drill down where it drills down from that report into this report. Now you can see all those hours and all that labor costs, and then drill into something like this instead of having to run them independent of each other. All right, very good. If anybody has questions on the job cost reporting, fire them into that chat, and I'll circle back to them. Otherwise, getting into the financial side of things, if we go to reports under General Ledger, this is where a user can run those financials. Now, out of the gate, we will provide your standard financials, the balance sheet, the P&L, the cash flow statement. For those that aren't entirely finicky about their financials, they just kind of roll with what we have here. Okay, here's our balance sheet. Of course, these are just my sample accounts. Chart of accounts is customizable within our program. So you're not limited to what you're seeing here. Each company has their own chart of accounts, of course. So again, if you like our layout and you just want to kind of go with what we have, no problem. Otherwise, if we go into the Data Genie reports, this is where you would be able to access those custom financials similar to what we had on the job cost side of things. So I've just got a number of kind of random examples here. If I pull up the income statement, this is one that I've created that shows current month and prior month. Now you can see I've got my income section, my direct expenses, my operating expenses. So the reason this looks the way that it does is because I designed it that way through that Data Genie. So I'm going to jump back to that side of things, and I'm going to show you how to create a financial, and then I'll show you how I designed that income statement. So getting back into the Data Genie, previously we went into this job cost activity. So we're creating a new job cost report. If we go into GL Financial, same logic here with those capsules. This is where we'd create a financial statement. Now, again, same concept here. This first screen, we can add a title, and we call that income, and then we start to add in our income accounts. Then we create our direct expenses and add those accounts. So again, same general logic as what we saw before. If I pop back in and go to open, I'm going to open up that income statement that we just looked at. And this is what I have built out. So here's my income section. Here are my direct expenses. Here are my operating expenses. So we've added those capsules to define our rows. And then on the next screen, this is where we can add capsules to define those columns. And this is where you see a ton of flexibility in our system from a financial reporting standpoint. That income statement that we looked at compared the current month and the prior month. If we want to add another column to show 2 months ago or 3 months ago, you can just keep adding column after column, and it would build that report out. You can get really creative with something like, okay, show me the current month this year, show me the current month last year. Now you're showing, here's August of 24. Here's August of 2023. Add another one, August of 2022. So you can see trends. Have we done in the past 8 Augusts of whatever years? You can also get into year to date, this year, last year, so on and so on. For those that budget their financials, you can see budgets. Maybe you do annual budgets, monthly budgets, quarterly budgets. We've got that calculation capsule here as well. So if we set this back to, let's go current month this year, prior month this year, let's add a calculation. Let's do the same thing as what we did on the job cost side. Let's add a variance. We'll go month 1 less month 2. That'll do the math for us. And then we get to that preview screen. Here's where it's going to show that variance. And again, this is really just showing you where the numbers are going to show up. It's not doing any of the math in front of you when you set these reports up. Once we run the report, it'll do the math. This is just kind of showing you visually where those numbers would show up. So we'll go ahead and finish. And again, you can do a save as. So if you save it as income statement 2, it would hang on to that original, show you the new one. Regardless of that, we pop back in. Let's run that income statement. And now we've got that variance column, taking our current month and our second month. Again, doesn't make a ton of logical difference here with showing month 1 versus month 2 with a variance. But again, the point is custom calculations depending on what you want to see here. All right, so the point with all this is we automate a lot of this. There's a lot of depth in our system. There is the flexibility for these custom reports for those, again, that are a little bit more finicky, the financials, the job reports. All right, we've got a couple minutes here. Let me pop back over to the questions, see if we've got any that are outstanding. All right. Yeah, and some of these we'll touch on. If we don't get to all of them, what we do in a lot of these cases here is for anybody that wants to look a little bit further here, just get in touch. You guys are all going to get an email once we're done here. It's going to have a recording. You're going to have my contact information. So if anybody does want to look a little bit further, more of like super specific data, just let me know. We'll get a spot on the calendar for you. But let me see what I can do here. Okay. One question came over, consolidated financial report for 2 different companies. So we do have a consolidated general ledger module. If that's something that you don't have as a user, it is something that you can add. Or if that question's coming from a non-foundation client, yeah, you can run multiple companies through our software. We do have the consolidated financial reporting, which I don't have set up here, but it is definitely an option if need be. All right, question came over. How does access reporting security impact reporting in relation to pay rates? So the answer to that is you can set security where a user would be able to see, let's say, labor cost, but they wouldn't have the ability to drill down into any of the detail behind that labor. So we see a lot of that with, okay, an admin can get to everything. A project manager, maybe you want that PM to run their own reports. They see that labor, but they stop there. They can't go any further in the way of those drill downs to get into all the different employees and those pay rates that make up that labor cost. All right. Yeah, Heather, I've got yours that you sent over as well. That's one that we'd probably have to circle back on. I'll have to digest that one and yeah, maybe touch base on that one. Heather, I'm not sure if you're a foundation user or non-foundation, but if you're already on foundation, I get you in touch with the right people, see if that's something that we can help with. Yep, got it. Perfect. All right, beautiful. Yeah, so I hope this gives everybody a general feel for what we can do. So yeah, the foundation users that are on this call, yeah, Heather being one of them, if you guys need anything, just reach out and I'll pass the word along, get somebody to touch base with you. For any of the non-foundation users, like I'd mentioned, if you want to take a closer look here, we'll carve out an hour, take you through the entire system, show you how it works, more like the day-to-day stuff in addition to the reporting, or any general questions, you can reach out at your convenience as well. All right, this is going to do it. I appreciate everybody's time here. I'm going to go ahead and close out the meeting. So you're all going to be on that email if you want to be on the lookout for that. And anything I can help with, you just reach out at your convenience and we will take it from there. Appreciate everybody's time, and you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.